Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about conspiracy theories, but not individual conspiracy theories. I'm not really going to drill down into any individual ones. I'm just going to talk about the overall concept of the conspiracy theory and touch on a few. The term conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist supposedly was coined by the CIA before or during or after the Kennedy assassination. If anyone questioned their official narrative, they wanted a label that they could put on them that would sound derogatory, and so they would just be shouted down and ignored as crazy. And so that's supposedly where that term came from, for those of you who don't know. And now it's evolved to describe anybody who questions the official narrative. Anybody who might think that the government could be lying to them, or that science might be lying to us. Trust the science, trust the government, trust our institutions. So if you disagree with any of that, you're a conspiracy theorist. We all know that Area 51 exists. We all know that our government's doing something in there that they don't want us to know about. They've been hiding it from us for decades, almost 100 years now. Why? What's the point? And if you ask that, why, then you're a conspiracy theorist. You're a kook. You're a wacko. What's the point of that? Why is this big shadow, this big conspiracy to hide stuff from the American public, the people who are paying for it? All of that belongs to us. But we're not allowed to even know what it is, let alone see it. There's something wrong there. There's something at a basic level that is really wrong there. And they've got a place up in Alaska, I think, called DARPA, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm not a deep conspiracy theorist. I don't have stacks of papers and stuff pinned to my walls, so I don't get deep into this kind of stuff. So if I get a name wrong or something, don't hold my feet to the fire. But I believe it's called DARPA or HARP or something. I don't know. But anyway, I watched an episode of Jesse Ventura's old TV show. It was years ago, but I remember the basics of it. He went up to the gates of this DARPA and talked to the guard and basically told the guard that he was an American citizen and he wanted access. And the guard told him no, that he should leave. And Jesse Ventura, stood his ground and said, no, I am an American citizen. I pay my taxes. I want into this facility right now, and the guard basically told him, no, you don't understand. Your life is in jeopardy. You are putting yourself in grave danger by doing this. You need to leave now. And Jesse Ventura pretty much said, okay, and then turned and left. But that too, there's some facility up there and there are theories about what they're doing up there, messing with the weather or something, or lasers, I don't know. But we don't know. We don't know for sure because the government hides it from us. Stuff is leaked once in a while and you don't know if it's true, but why is the government hiding that stuff from us? Everybody, and they'll say national security or whatever. You really think that if they told us what's going on in Area 51 or up there in that base in Alaska, that China and Russia would just invade the next day? I don't think so. I think it's something different. That's me. But if you think about it, we've had other things like this. Mount St. Helens. We all remember Mount St. Helens. The thing blew up. It claimed lives. It destroyed property. It destroyed forests when it blew. I've been up there. When you look at the mountain, it looks like a giant just took a big ice cream scoop and took a chunk out of the mountain. But the thing about it is that zero conspiracy theories about it. We all know what happened. It was an act of Mother Nature, an act of God. The volcano blew. Why aren't there any conspiracy theories about that? Because the government wasn't involved. There was a train that derailed in Ohio back in the 80s or 90s and let loose this noxious gas and mass evacuations and all this. Zero conspiracy theories because the government wasn't involved. And we have these catastrophes all over the place, all around the world all the time. And they take lives, they destroy property, they do damage to the environment. Zero conspiracy theories because the government's not involved. Why, when our government's involved, are there these huge holes in logic? These huge gaps to be crossed to make the official narrative sound complete? Why are there always these questions and nothing ever really makes sense? Why? Because the government is constantly hiding stuff from us. They're constantly covering stuff up. They're constantly evading the truth, hiding the truth, because they're doing dirty shit that they don't want us to know about. And if we want to know about it, if we want to know the truth, then we're conspiracy theorists. And now, I don't know how long ago these things started. I'm sure they're older than I'm aware of, but here recently in last year or so, I've seen these other conspiracy theories. And I don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence. If you're into these things that I'm about to mention, no problem. I don't dive headfirst into them just from personal experience. But we've got the bird thing. I don't know if y'all have heard it, but there's this conspiracy theory that birds are fake. Birds aren't real. Now, that would be one thing if they were saying, some birds are robots and they're spying on us. But that's not what I've been seeing. Some people are saying that all birds are robots and they're spying on us. Now, from someone who has hunted and eaten birds to stay alive, I can tell you they're not robots. 100%. They're flesh, blood, and meat. That kind of stuff. And then the flat earth thing. And from my personal experience, I flew to Korea when I was in the Army, and we flew around to the other side of the world. The sun followed us, which couldn't happen in a flat earth scenario. I'm just saying the sun went around the planet with us. And it was the same time when we got there as when we left. So you just can't, from personal experience, I can't dive headfirst into these kind of things. But these kind of things are lumped in together with people who just question obvious stuff about the government, right? They're put into the same pot and mixed up, and they're all called kooks and weirdos and wackos. And I don't blame anybody for questioning anything. But to lump them together in the same thing, all birds are robots, and I wonder if the Kennedy assassination was really what they're telling me it was. Those are two completely different things, right? But they're all lumped in together into this melting pot of wackiness. So that's disturbing. It's disturbing to me to see this. Anybody who questions anything, anybody who looks at narratives and the holes in narratives and tries to fill them, lumped in with everything else and shouted down and considered crazy just because you have a thinking brain. That's a little worrying to me, and that's why I made Gen X Thinks. One of the reasons. That's why I named it that, because Gen X thinks. We're the last generation, I believe, to really, as a whole, now individuals, I'm not saying millennials don't do it or whatever, but as a whole, I think the majority of Generation X, we think, we use common sense, we question stuff, and that stuff is going away. These younger generations, they're glued to their phones. Whatever, people are spouting on TikTok is the absolute truth, and they'll argue with you to the bone and start insulting you when you make sense. So common sense and thinking outside the box and kind of thinking at all is a vanishing trait. That just doesn't look good for our country, for the world. As we've had a lot of stuff happen, wars, assassinations, assassination attempts, all these things that need to be questioned. They need to be. The truth needs to come to light, and we need to find out what's really going on. But we're kept over here in this little box of loonies who question stuff. And that's my point. If you question stuff, you're put in this loony box where society just labels you as a lunatic, and you're not allowed to speak about it. You're demonized for it, possibly facing consequences if you go far enough with it. Judicial consequences. Be punished for it in some cases. So that needs to change. I mean, we need to come together or something and not be afraid to question things anymore. Because even when I make these videos, sometimes there's a little thing in the back of my mind. I mean, y'all see me making these videos and saying this stuff, so I'm doing it. But still, there's a little thing in the back of my mind, what if? Like, the wrong person sees this and I get a knock at my door with guys with black suits on, you know what I'm saying? Sunglasses, the men in black show up at my door and throw me in the back of a van. But I mean, it's not an upfront fear, but it's a niggling thing in the back of my mind. I'm not saying, I'm not saying stuff that's too crazy, but still, we shouldn't have that at all. We should be comfortable voicing our opinions and questioning things about our government. They're supposed to work for us. They're supposed to be public servants, not public masters. And that's just the way I see it. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down below. Or you can hop over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description. If you're interested in Gen X or Gen X Thinks branded gear, you can shoot over to Redbubble and check that stuff out. There's some cool stuff over there. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, that kind of stuff. And I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot, more than you think, and I appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us in the emails over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.